Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I thought I would chat with you guys a little bit about spotters, mainly because I've had several subscribers, including some actually really strong guys, say, hey, you should probably put out some basic stuff for spotting because so many people mess it up at the gym. And when you're a serious lifter, if you ask someone for a spot, a lot of gym bros really don't know how to spot, and it can be a problem. Now, some people will look at this footage here and say, Jason, you don't have a spotter. How can you make a video discussing spotting and demonstrating spotting? Well, the beauty of it is the fact that I don't use a spotter and I use safeties instead tells you everything that you need to know about a spotter. That is my spotter. Now, for a lot of guys who are gym bros are like, well, how's that going to help you? How's that replace a human? Like, this is more reliable than a human. More reliable than a human. You know why they have spotters at a powerlifting meet? Because someone's going to have to lift the weight off you when it has a problem. The spotters are the same guys who are loading the weight. They're the loaders, everything else. They're there just to keep you from dying. They don't touch the weight. If they touch the weight, you're disqualified. So my pins serve the same purpose as a spotter does. So let's discuss what a spotter's job. A spotter is not there for your psychological motivation. When people hear that and they're like, well, what do you mean? Sometimes just putting the fingers on the bar and yelling at you will sometimes help you push through a hard rep. And it's like, well, why are you pushing through a hard rep? Is it a 1 rep max? Are you going to failure? But what you need to understand when you're tracking the training log, if that person touched the bar with just my fingertips, you shouldn't count that rep. Because in other words, you weren't capable of lifting it. And that little 2 fingers, all I did was touch it with my fingers, bro. That invalidates your ability to lift it. In other words, if they had to help you with the last 5 pounds, the lockout's the easiest part. And people need to understand that. Like, you look at these bands and chains and other stuff that I'm doing, what you need to understand is that a guy can take a 300-pound bar and put 70 pounds of chains on it, and that doesn't mean that person can bench 370. That person might be a 320 bencher. We can lock more than we can bench. There are plenty of guys who do lockout work with 150 pounds more than what their actual max is. So if the person's having to help you lock it with 2 fingers, even if they're adding just 10 pounds, you're not even close to being able to complete that rep. Right? That's a missed rep. So if it was a 10 rep set and they touched the fingers on the last one, you count it as 9. And if you don't, you're not being honest about your progressive overload. You're messing your own training up. Which comes back to the point of the spotter. You shouldn't be doing that. And you shouldn't be doing that for multiple reasons. If you're benching without safeties, and you are concerned about needing the person there for safety, if they're just putting 2 fingers under, they're not helping you. And the person who's spotting needs to remember that. If that person actually goes and they miss the rep, do you really think your 2 fingers is going to help them? If they're set in a position because they don't know how to bench, which is 95% of guys at the gym, in a position where the bar could technically hit their throat or could hurt them in some way if it dropped, what good are you? Have you done anything to help their safety? Not at all. Nothing. Nothing. You're going to hurt them. That's what's going to happen. You're not doing anything. Don't put the 2 fingers under. So let's come over to some basic rules of understanding what a spotter's real job is for real lifters, not kids who are playing. You kids who are playing, hopefully you guys are going to be serious lifters one day. You need to understand you're goofing off and your spotters are goofing off if you're doing this all you bro and 2 finger stuff. Okay, rule number 1. You shouldn't have fingers under the bar. You should be braced above the bar with like an over-under type grip. In other words, you need to look at the weight on the bar and ask yourself, can I barbell row the amount of weight that this person has on the bar? If all you can barbell row, if your max barbell row is 200 and they've got 225 on the bar, you better not grip it with a double overhand or definitely fingers under. You better be ready to grab it with a mixed grip above it, not touching the bar as they go up and down, ready to grab it. So one hand over the top, one under, like you're going to grab it, like you're just going to grab that bar with a full mixed grip and jerk it off them. All right, you need to be ready to legitimately lift that weight with a moment's notice with all of your strength, your backs, hamstrings, hips, lats, everything involved. Because if a person actually needs a spot, you're going to have to lift all of it. All right? If we're talking about a real failed rep, if someone is actually failing a rep to the point to where you need to do anything, they usually have stopped midway up on the lockout and then they missed the lift. And it's coming back down. That weight is going to hit them. And on a missed lift, a legitimately missed lift, you don't ever make them grind it out. All right? As a spotter, that is silly kid stuff to where, oh, come on, finish it up, and you're helping them. No, you need to grab the weight and lift it. You know, you see all these guys and these kids and these older guys, oh, I got hurt bench pressing my shoulder. I used to bench a lot till I separated my shoulder. You hear all these clowns. Guys 5 years younger than me, I see this all the time. All the time. And I just look at them and go, yeah, because you're an idiot. Right? You hurt yourself as a 300-pound bencher. Are you serious? You didn't know how to train. Or you had idiot spotters. That's exactly what it is. You don't grind through a missed rep. You don't try to push out a missed rep. And you as a spotter, you don't make if they miss the rep, what's the point? Why are you finishing a rep you didn't complete? You already exhausted your upper threshold muscle fibers. Grinding through a missed rep by helping them doesn't cause any training stimulus. All it does is increase the risk of injury. All right, this is how we tear pecs. This is how we damage our shoulders. This is one of the methods by which it happens. Is you helping them finish a rep and forcing them to grind through a missed rep. All right, that's sheer stupidity. That's sheer stupidity. Grab the weight and jerk it off them. You pull with the force of 1,000 suns. You pull like it's a max deadlift. You get that weight off them and you rack it. And if you're a good spotter, even if you get a silly gym bro who you touch it or whatever, and you don't do this whole, and they say, hey, one more, they shouldn't be able to say, let me do one more. It should already be in the J-hooks before they can get it out. Your job as a spotter is to grab that weight and jerk it into those J-hooks. Get it off of them. Because you'll see silly kids and gym bros who, if you do the two-finger spot, they'll be like, one more, bro, and it's like you missed that rep. Now to the other point, don't touch the bar till they miss it. Because you see that too, and I hate that. I've gone to do a 5-rep set with a spotter at a gym before, and this is one reason I refuse to use spotters unless I have to, because they will touch the bar on every rep. And I'm like, well, why did you touch my lockout? I was doing a 5-rep set, and they're reaching over doing the two fingers and tapping it every time. Well, I'm losing some of my tricep activation. Right? It completely ruins a set, and it doesn't let you properly track your overload. Why are you touching someone's bar when they're in the middle of a rep? And they need to account for that. If you magically have a spotter who decides they're gonna, and you can't make them not do it, but you still want to use a spotter and they're an idiot, you need to put another 10 pounds on the bar because you're not getting the full overload that you want. You need the heavier weight to get the same stimulation. It's reducing the effectiveness of your set because they're interfering with your strength curve. It's not helping you. Notice a lot of what I'm doing, you notice with all the change and stuff, I'm making it harder at the top, they're making it easier at the top. That's a problem. And then you get in that situation to where the person just always grabs it and pulls it over, and then if you do that to someone and then they go to hit a max later and their max is miscalculated and they can't lock it, well, that's why. You've completely interfered with their strength curve too many times. Do not touch the bar until they're missing the rep. And a missed rep means the bar comes to a complete stop and then it starts to come back down. That's when you grab it. Or what I would say when someone's grinding, when that bar stops and they can't push through and it's been 4 to 5 full seconds, they need to stop grinding at the 5-second mark. You need to grab it and jerk it all off of them. But if the bar hasn't started coming down or they haven't stopped mid-rep for 5 full seconds, and by stop it needs to be past the halfway point, then that's when you grab it. You shouldn't touch the bar otherwise. That has no place in real training. You're probably a silly teenager if you're doing that. Fix that stuff. Don't do it. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.